Okay, got my boards unclamped today, and they look great. The big question is, how do you cut a 14-foot board to length? So I'm going to take this off here for now. What I've found or decided to do is take my outfeed roller system, and I've had this little jig I've made here for quite some time. You only used it once before this, I think, but now it's coming in real handy. And all it is a piece of, I guess it's 1.25" PVC pipe, kind of set into a saddle, and then that's locked into my roller system here with these blocks, 2 blocks, to keep it from moving or rolling out of there. And then that PVC pipe gives me a nice smooth, slippery surface for my board to ride along. So what I've done here is, I'll walk up here a little closer. I got my fence squared up, and I'm just going to clamp it here with two Jorgensens. I've made my mark, but I'm not going to cut to that mark just yet. I'm going to make a test cut here first to see how it's going to go. Check it for square, and then see if I need to make any adjustments. So let me get this thing rocking and rolling here, and we'll see how this works. Looks pretty good. Just let me check it for square here. That is really good. Yep. Okay. Now I'll set this up to my mark, and then we will make our actual cut to length here. Just making sure I'm flat on the table. My saw blade is just on the pencil line. And we're going to run it one. 166 and a half, okay. Sorry about that. I had my tripod just a little too close to my sliding table, or bumped into it. But it's right on the money. Went right through that pencil line marking. I got a nice square cut. Beautiful. Okay, one down, one to go. Show you my joint line here. A little bit of sanding and that'll be remove this little bit of glue here, but it's just that's a nice joint. I mean, I can't make a 14-foot board or 166 and a half inch board any better than that. I'm happy with the way it's going so far. Okay, cut number 2. 166 and a half. Measure twice here. Okay. And away we go. Beautiful. beautiful. Okay. Now I've already got my inside pieces cut here somewhere. These go in here like this, and I'm going to dowel those as well. And then you put a cover piece over the outside to reinforce this. And then you've got in here you've got several ribs spaced 12 inches on center. So those are going to be going in there as well. Let me show you what I mean here. Here's one. The plan calls for these to just sit up on top like this, or on the bottom actually, and then to get glued and screwed. I made mine 3/4 of an inch wider. I'm going to notch them so they're going to go around like that, so that you're going to have a notch like that. And then I'm going to run a dowel in here and then through the notch, and that's how I'm going to attach them. Either a dowel that way or a dowel this way. Yeah, probably where there's more meat, so I can tie it all together. So that's what I'm going to work on next, is cutting these to length and notching them. Okay, here's how I'm going to measure these ribs, I'll call them. This is the cross piece that I just showed you goes in between the two 14-foot boards. And I've got it so it just kisses that blade. So that's the inside dimension I want. What I'm going to do is I need to have the length before I cut the notch be this length plus twice the thickness of the 14-foot boards. So I took 2 of these ribs, which these all came out of the same sheet of plywood. So this dimension, I don't even know what it is. It's probably about 1.5 inches, but it's actually 1 3/8. So that's why I'm not even measuring. And I want to set this in between my board. I got to get this backed up or lifted up a little bit here. There. I'm going to clamp my board so it doesn't move. I've got my stop set here, and now all I'm going to do is just back this off, bring this in, make sure it's tight to that corner there, bring in my stop, and there we go. There's my length of the ribs. Now, to make this repeatable, I'm going to put my other stop here. I'm going to lock this. Now I can take my ribs, which I know I've cut long, and I can square up one end. Right? Square up one end, flip it. Now I'll make a little X here to make sure I know which one I'm doing. I'll make an X on all of them. X it, flip it, and then cut it with the X down. I'll put my stop back in. Boom. Make my second cut. So that's going to be a fine use of this removable stop. So You don't need to watch this, I guess. I'll maybe show a couple of cuts. I'll cut a couple here. I've got these 3 ready to go. I can do 3 and then come back and do the other. Here's my, those 3 are cut long, but here's the other ones. These are 8-foot pieces. Yeah. So another reason to rough cut them and then flip them. I'll just rough cut these on the chop saw. Be a lot faster. So let me get them all rough cut to length, and then we'll start going to town on this. Well, let's do these 3. No problem here. Got the camera rolling. Might as well keep it rolling. See, I want to keep this from sliding on me though. I want to put this little stop down at the bottom, like that. That way I'll have something to push against. There. So I'll use this as my first cut, and then when I get ready to do my finish cut, I'll bring this stop into play. That is beautiful. Got to do that about 15 more times. So let me cut the other ones to rough length. And we'll get back at her here. Okay, so how am I going to make that perfect notch? This is one of my cutoffs. I just laid it down here, flushed it up, made a mark. Again, laid it down, flushed it up, and made a mark. So this is what I want going right here. Okay, so mark, mark, remove. Now we know that this is already set up to cut the length. So all I need to do is to get that first cut is to set my blade to that height, which I've already done. It might be just a little bit low, but that's okay. So I've got my blade set to that height. Let's see here. Right there. I'm so close. Probably just a hair low, but that's all right, because I can get that cleaned up on the next cut. And even if I overcut it a little bit, it wouldn't be a bad thing either, but I'm going to try and make it perfect. So back to my stop. We know that this is set to length. So what I need to remove is that much right there. So I can either cut it and leave this in there as my offset, or I can clamp my workpiece and move my stop, which is what I'm going to do, because it's a lot less hassle having to throw that stop block in there every time. So let me get this clamped. Make sure we're tight. There we are. That's my first cut. And I'm going to make these with the X down. So all my work pieces, I'll just keep feeding them in here, X down, make this cut, flip it, make this cut. And then I'll reset up to make the next knot, the next cut to remove that notch. So some of these got a little bit of a warp in them, so I'm going to hold them tight on the ends and push against my stop and get after it here. Let me reset that angle so you can see the cut. There we go. All right. notches cut lengthwise. Now I got to cut them widthwise, I guess. And that's where this little baby comes in handy. This is a adjustable stop I made, nice and square there, and it gives me the ability to just dial in. Hope you can see my line right there. Dial that in, right about there, I'd say, and then lock her down. Okay. We're going to try that first. I've got this the ability to micro adjust it, so we'll see how that's going to work out. I'll be able to, because this is the same width as my, it's one of these drops I had. Same width as all my ribs. I'll be able to stick my pieces in here like that. I'm not sure how I'm going to hold them yet. I've got to get a clamp in here. Something where I can be reasonably safe. Let's see here. Let's see. I think what I'll do is I'll do the old step clamp thing here. Get a block of wood across there and step clamp it. See that or not? Let me see. I think I might have. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, this is going to take a little longer, but I don't want my fingers in there. So I'm just going to put a block of wood. I'll put my piece in, push it up tight, put a block of wood on top. I got two pieces over here. And then I'll clamp it. Yeah, as long as I keep that up tight against the stop, that'll keep my fingers away from the blade. And it won't move. Yeah, it'll be good. We'll make a cut here and see how it looks. And then flip it end for end. And if it's correct, I may have to micro adjust it just a little bit this way. But I'll show you this setup here when I get done making these cuts. baby. There's this side. I don't know if you can see the other side here. Let me see. Yeah, there's this side. There you go. Flush. And now that I know that these are all cut to the same depth, these will all be parallel. And here's the other side. And that helps square everything up as well. Beautiful. One down, about, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17 to go. Show you a couple more here. So tight to my stop. Okay, there's all my parts cut to length and notched perfectly. I wanted to show you, if you ever wonder how they make sugar cubes, they make them on the table saw. But here's that adjustable stop I was going to show you. Get this out of the way. So what I've got here is basically one of these stops. Right here, out here. The only difference is I doubled up the ply to give me room for my adjusting screw, and this screw spins freely in this piece, which does not have a stop on this side. It's flush to the cut side, but I can lock it down to the extrusion in this upper slot. Lock, macro adjust. If I have them both loose, let me loosen that up. If I have them both loose, I can macro adjust, obviously move the whole thing. Then when I get close, I can lock this side down and then micro adjust with this one. And then once I achieve the place I want, I lock this down. So that's how that was working. So it's a 1/4 thread threaded rod with a nylock nut, standard nut jammed up against this knob, and then a nylock on the other side. This is probably overkill having a nylock there, but it's on there. And then in here I've got a 1-inch barrel nut so that it runs nice and true. But that came in handy on this project already. I just made this the other day, but that worked out slick. Okay, onward.